Chief Constable Nick Adderley in Memoriam of a glorious police career. We discuss Nick Adderley's fall from grace and other matters. Let's talk piggies and Nick Adderley. Now let's start by explaining what Nick Adderley did. He wore a Falkland Medal on an official police uniform and on official police business when he would have only been 15 if he had served in the Falklands conflict, which he said medal for. Tosser. Why? Because he claimed a medal for something he could not have done. The law would not have allowed it. I don't have medals, I have some certificates, I have a lot more experiences, and all of these are verifiable. The biggest problem is when a police officer claims they have these without being able to. I won't use the phrase police going forward on this blog. I will use bent pig. Because that's what they are, and there is really only two places for bent pigs. Either in a farmyard or on my breakfast toast with ketchup. See here for an example. So what do we do with police officers? Now, bearing in mind this has been going on since the 1960s. Operation Countryman tried and failed. We do have a massive issue. I like this approach. And you should adjust this example to suit and not use directly. What is 163.25 divided by 67 2/3? Answer: if they cannot provide within 5 seconds, they have failed O-level /GCSE grade C. As you should be able to work out these sums to get the grade C. We now have grades 1 to 9, but the tenet remains the same. If you cannot do the sum in your head, you should not be a police officer, as you will have failed the test. Unfortunately, if you ask a serving bent pig to do the sum, they will reply with something along the lines of "I don't have to bother." Ergo they cannot, therefore we have another problem. HR have failed to vet them correctly, or they have paid people off to get them onto the police force. Bribery, corruption, call it whatever you want. It boils down to the same thing. These people should not be in the employment of the public sector. Full stop. Alternatively, ask them to spell the most difficult single word in your own English vocabulary. Top hint: make that word about 300 times harder than S******, P******, or F******. I know that in certain town this is a very hard thing to ask for. Google is not an acceptable answer. I like asking bent pigs similar questions to this. The responses I get show that the majority bent pigs recruited these days cannot and do not know how to answer the questions without Google being involved. Try asking them to name 6 prime ministers back from John Major and see what happens. The answer is we have bent pigs who are even more thick than the farmyard animals we call them in slang. Every police officer I have ever seen is actually a disgrace to the badge they are supposed to represent. If these people had brains, they would be dangerous at a level of Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un's UN combined. Let's circle back to Mr. Adderley. He has served under these Home Secretaries: Sajid Javid, Priti Patel, Sula Braverman, Grant Shapps, Sula Braverman, James Cleverly. Why did these Home Secretaries, or did the staff of these politicians in one of the 3 great offices of state, not pick up on his various mistakes and wrongdoings? The answer is one of 3 things: backhanders, ineptitude, or ignorance. I know which one I go for. Well, that's Tory MPs for you. I'm so glad I am not a Conservative Party subscriber anymore, and let me tell you that it was another weak and inept Home Secretary by the name of Amber Rudd who sorted that one out. So we have the thick leading the thick. It gets worse. As an ex-Londoner, I had the misfortune to see a police commander name of Cressida Dick being almost exonerated for her role in the shooting dead or murder of a lovely young Brazilian chap at Stockwell Tube Station many years ago. She rose to become Chief Commissioner of the metropolis. I cannot praise the current Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, for very much. Let's face it, he has not done much, but getting rid of the little Cressida is probably the only good thing I can remember him for. Amber Rudd apparently appointed her. Much like her attempts to close down a major piece of open source software, and this was not her only least finest hour in government. It's a shame Amber Rudd appeared to not learn anything from the writings of her late husband, the later Dr. Gill. He so often wrote with correct fortitude. Sir Mark Rowley, the current Chef Commissioner, cannot cover himself in glory either. It was with some pleasure that I responded to a very cack-handed post of his on the LinkedIn website. The result was that I got 2,000 visits from the Metropolitan Police Network. I can only assume that if these police staff were doing proper police work, that less crimes would have been committed in the time period in question. I also note that I currently have an uplift of about 300 per month of visitors from the Metropolitan Police Network. Let me be clear, if you are a police officer or burned pig and you are using a police network to visit this website, then as far as I am concerned, unless you can provide me with evidence of a crime committed by me when I require it without question, then you as the officer in question are guilty of a crime. It's called wasting police time. It carries 3 months prison time. Trust me, there are so many officers that are guilty of this crime, and so many police managers that wax lyrical over the fact. What are the chances of a police being prosecuted for the waste of police time ever? I do have the answer. For football fans, Doncaster Rovers have more chance of winning the English Football Premier League in the 2024/2025 season. We move back to the current day. I live in one of the constabularies next to Mr. Adderley's former constabulary. Now you find all of my dealings with Warwickshire Police here, but let me be totally clear. To have a force that are responsible for upholding the law but do knowingly break the law itself is corruption by the dictionary definition of the word corruption. It is also well known that I would rather a Middle Eastern terrorist group or the IA be currently in charge of policing in the United Kingdom. Things have got that bad. Burned pig farms would be a much better description. How can not the current Warwickshire Burned Pig Chief Constable or any other police officer fail to take account of a police officer that steals nearly £20,000 of valuables from someone's home? You can see more on the link above. She, Deborah Tedds, has not bothered to respond to my correspondence on the matter. Why? My only view is that she is protecting the little burned piggies under her command who committed the crime. Burned pig is as burned pig does. Let me be ever clearer. There are only 2 places for pigs in my humble estimation. One is on a farm, the second is on toast with ketchup for my breakfast. An example is here. Certainly, the skills to uphold law and order are bereft of the farmyard, the plate and the current masquerading burned pigs. I turn quickly to pigs and farming. In particular the Clarkson's Farm television program. Jeremy Clarkson and I have quite a few things in common and some things we disagree on. I don't agree that the Vauxhall Vectra car is as bad as he says, for example. But he once said that errant public sector workers should be taken outside and executed in front of their families. Granted that this was in regard to one particular scenario. I would take this a lot further. I would like to see all errant police officers shot by their own. We have armed response vehicles in this country and they can provide the resource, along with their families. The result would be a large-scale reduction in corruption in this country. I am far from a card-carrying eugenicist, but we need to start somewhere with public sector corruption, which is far too rife. We have a bigger problem as I write. We are just over a week from a general election in the UK. Unfortunately, political manifestos are all about race, immigration and tax and not about public service. Burned pig constabularies are public services. No one cares. The NHS debate has been forgotten about. £178 billion a year. Come on. The current election seems only to be being contested about Rishi Sunak's or his parents' ownership of a Sky TV dish and racism or immigration. In Warwickshire recently we had an election for a police and crime commissioner. The incumbent Deputy Police and Crime Commissioner stated in a Facebook post that her most proud moment was to have maternity wear added to the staff PPE catalogue. The baby Jesus is still weeping. Indeed, she was offered an invitation to attend a party to celebrate 1,000 days since Warwickshire burned pigs stole nearly £20,000 worth of valuables from my home. She declined. I wonder why. It boils down to the same thing. Those who control the country or look after its services cannot be trusted to do so. Our former Prime Minister Boris Johnson and his famed parties during lockdown are an even bigger demonstration of the point that is even more damning on the burned pigs. The point is that the CCTV everywhere on Downing Street could not allegedly point out all of the miscreants. If I had police CCTV at the top and bottom of my street, they would catch me for something every day. I have long held the view that there is only one trustworthy individual in Downing Street. His website is here. So the police or burned piggies cannot be trusted anywhere. Let's keep going on this. Everyone should shout loud and clear about police wrongdoing, wherever you shout about it. Again, it's such a sorry state of affairs that the people of the United Kingdom cannot trust those who are supposed to uphold the law to do so, and that it comes from the highest of offices. If a Home Secretary could not care less, then what chance do we have of anyone else doing so? My own proposal would be to command all police officers, and more so all people in public service, to confess to any wrongdoings in public service in a given timeline, and for law to be enacted to create at least tenfold the penalties for such wrongdoing against those individuals and their families for wrongdoing out within said timescales. A small moratorium. This should make for a near clean sweep for the country to rebuild the burned pigs into a constabulary that is actually worthy of the name, but also to rebuild dodgy councils and other public services and iffy parts of the NHS too. For any police staff still reading, firstly, please see below for some more valediction, and secondly, note that you have brought all of this on yourselves. Wayne Couzens started it, Nick Adderley has continued it. For some reason, I get notifications on my phone from the Metropolitan Police about disciplinary hearings of burned pigs such as this one. Just looking at the URL should show you where some of the problems lie. Sir Mark Rowley yet again. I will close now, but I make a warning to all police staff. If you are reading this without a justifiable case against me, and this case must come to the courts within 90 days of this post being made on my website, then I will not stop until the individual officer and their line managers are prosecuted with custodial consequences for wasting police time, which is a criminal offence. You have been warned.